Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a lovely day. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. All right, guys, so we do have CPI coming in hot tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm just going to remind everyone how the weekly candle printed last week. We pushed right back up the highs. QQQ actually made a new all-time high today. Whereas the S&P 500 over here has not. But, you know, I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to make today's video short. We're going to go over the indices. We'll go over the Mag 7 stocks. And then I got a few trade ideas at the end of the video just for you. But I am just going to say, NVIDIA goes up, market goes up. You cannot be bearish on the market right now, at least from where I'm sitting. It's just kind of hard to. NVIDIA wants to continue pushing. Weekly and daily time frames suggest that we're probably going to be breaking above 183.30 here in the short term. And if we do end up pulling back, you know, it doesn't really matter how this shapes up. As long as we're holding this low over here, regardless, we are anticipating that this, you know, this flat top here we got going on, like right here, we have a 3-range setup here, or a 3-candle range, I should say. This is going to be revisited. You know, you could just go back. That's not what our tops look like here in the video. So I'm just going to tell you, all of these are, you know, quick pop and drops that happen. You don't typically have, you know, this crap going on where you're going to sweep the high right over there and then consolidate for the next 2 sessions right underneath it. No, if we see that, we are going to take that out. You know, we're looking for something like this. We're looking for a tippy top. Which this just isn't. So I'm just going to say, as long as NVIDIA is looking like this, guys, you can't be too bearish on the market. So no matter what dip we get, just know that, you know, it is going to be bought. I don't know exactly how it's going to shape up in the short term if we do get a drop off CPI. But just expect it to be bought. As long as you're holding above 629.47 here on SPY, that's a good thing. That's the daily 21. And then over here on QQQ, you know, that is right around 563. So, you know, it is CPI tomorrow. We can't really say for certain what's going to be happening beforehand, so I'm not really going to try and do so. But I am going to tell you guys, we still have not made new highs over here in SPY. We just went through this massive correction. We just had, you know, this grindy crap going on here. And then, boom, scared everyone, lost the 21 EMA, and now we're, you know, this close back up to highs. It's very likely that we are going to just continue pushing and get the new all-time highs. So just realize that the likely scenario here is that bulls are going to prevail, and we're going to, you know, this week we're probably going to find our way back up to new all-time highs. So just realize that is what we're looking at. I'll go over the levels here, but, you know, they kind of go out the window tomorrow with CPI. If you get a gap down underneath 630.374, that's not looking good. That's right around the 4-hour 21 EMA here underneath. You know, guys, this is where you can, you know, get larger spillovers if you are going to lose this. So that is where bulls want to be holding. That is 633.74. So on the downside, we have 635.54, 634.66, 633.74. Under there, 631.54, 629.47. Okay, but you know, you get a hot CPI, you get a gap and go here. You know, this is all getting taken out all real quick here. But I'm just saying, I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think that's where the probabilities lie right now. I think we're probably going to continue moving up. And if we pull back, it's probably just going to be treated as, you know, consolidation here, something like this, before just going back up. You know, we can all see how these weekly candles printed. And yeah, I mean, but like I pointed out in the weekly video, you had 3 failures from the bears last week. I don't care what happens in the short term here. The market's very likely going to keep pushing up the highs. We have Meta looking like this. We have NVIDIA looking like this. Okay, you know, Apple and Google are going to keep getting bought up over here. Google does have the bearish divergence there on the daily RSI. But, you know, that is like it's probably going to make it up to new all-time highs. Let's be real about it. All these things suggest the further upsides on the table. Tesla, I know it faded the move today. It did. But we did end up getting a daily close above 338. So that is the first good sign there out of Tesla. Finally starting to, you know, make a higher high over here. You were making higher lows and lower highs over here. You're finally starting to change that tune. So that is something to know over there on Tesla. But, you know, you come over here to Apple. We know this thing is going to be bought. We know it's, you know, it just started the reversal process over here. The dip's going to be bought. I'm just saying, guys, things are suggested we are going up. But yeah, CPI is tomorrow, so I'm really not going to, you know, try and call price action all that much. considering that. So I'm just kind of, you know, going to put what I'm watching on your radar here, okay? But let's go over the levels. Let's finish going over those. SPY, downside, 635.54, 634.66, 633.74, 631.54, 629.47. On the upside, 636.98, 638.95, 639.85 above there, 645. On the downside over here for QQQ, all right, we're talking 572.11, 570.15, 569.04, 566.56. From there, you're going to be watching the daily 21, which is at 563. On the upside, we have 574.63, 576.80, and we're talking 580. You know, does not look all that bad over here. We'll see if bulls can step in tomorrow morning. It's the perfect spot to do so. We spent all day over here selling past 12 o'clock. We did end up having that little pump. But, you know, SPY and QQ guys, when they're not agreeing with each other, when one is lagging behind and they're not getting, you know, the same moves, yeah, expect fake outs to be happening. And that's what you had, you know, all this morning going on over here. QQ just didn't want to do it. It did end up being a fake out move, and then you end up fading over here. And as we could see, you know, I talked to you guys about it. Put this cloud on your chart. Okay, you can come over here, you could steal it. EMA cloud 150/250, search that up, put it in. I'll show you the settings right here. You could use it. All right, and if you're struggling for price action intraday, all right, just tracking where you are, pre-market range break, cloud. All right, pair that up. Fast 5, 9, 21. Red, white, okay? And it'll look like this, but you could see it literally started breaking down. It kept retesting over here, right as it was flipped, the cloud was flipped in red, and then boom, you broke underneath the key level, and you started, you know, really fading here where you're holding this morning. You know, you don't have to complicate things, guys. You really don't. But I will point out, we do have that 15-minute, well, we had the 15-minute bullish diverge. It did end up getting burned over here. But we do still have it over here on SPY. And I will just say, coming into CPI tomorrow morning, I think we're at least going to, you know, get an overnight move up. We'll see what happens with CPI, but I do think we're probably going to get the 15-minute RSI decently up by tomorrow morning, to, you know, in case we want to move down. We'll see what happens. If we keep selling, then maybe we're going to pump off CPI. You know, if this thing stays oversold, we don't get any crazy overnight bounce or anything like that. Regardless, guys, CPI is tomorrow. We don't really know what's going to be happening. We'll see what happens. And that's really the theme of this video, okay? VIX end up perking up really nicely over here into CPI. So we really can go either way. You know, I just want to make that pretty clear. So I'm not really going to try and call the shots this video, but I will put your attention on some things. You know, in the video over here, expect dips to be bought as long as you're not taking out 170.89. That wouldn't be the best look. But, you know, this looks like it's going to break up in the short term. It really doesn't look all that bad. This is, you know, kind of as bullish as it really gets over here. You're in an aggressive uptrend. We see how last week's, you know, closed up at the highs. We want to continue here. That's what it wants to do on the higher time frame. And you come over down to the 4 hour, and it's consolidating in a bullish manner here underneath the previous high for 3 sessions. You know, this is probably going to break up. That's the video. You come over here to Google, and what's going on, all right? You rejected 202.88 once you finally got the break above 198.16, all right? And now you're consolidating, but you come over here to the weekly chart, and, you know, guys, it's going to make its way up to all-time highs. We know it is. Whether it wants to dance around a little or not, it's going to make its way up to all-time highs. Apple, you know, we know dips are going to be bought. This weekly dip over here, if it happens tomorrow, guys, honestly, this is one I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to be getting a little bit heavier in Apple. We're going to go with 919 expiration. But, you know, I'll just say this is another thing suggesting that we are probably going to see dips get bought, and the markets are going to keep seeing new highs there. Nvidia's going, Apple's going. It's a good time. Okay, it is a good time. But yeah, we clearly just started a reversal process over here on Apple. You know, we've been consolidating here for a while. We just finally broke out from that consolidation. I doubt it's going to pull all the way back in 1 week later. And if it does, expect it to be bought. All right, this thing just started going. If it pulls back something like that, consolidates here, we'll see how it sets up for that consolidation. Then yeah, it's probably going to lead to further upside. You know, that's Apple. Tesla just started moving above 338, which you got a daily close above today. We're talking 346.64. That is today high. Above there, 357.54, 367.71. That's Tesla. Meta over here, guys, you know, I'm going to say the weekly chart looks a little funky there, but you come over here, the daily, guys, get above 775, and there's nothing until you come up here to 785, and then we're off to the races up 800 bucks. Let's say CPI, you know, comes in cool tomorrow, or tame, and the market gets to do its thing, okay? Wouldn't it be all so nice of Meta was to just gap up 780, 785, and then boom, you're just running right out the gate there, and all of a sudden, this is expanding above this, you know, 2-week top over here, and then boom, you know, all of a sudden we're at 800, 820. It would be a real pretty thing. And honestly, I do think, you know, that's where I'm leaning. That is where, you know, I think this is, I'd say solid shot of that being the case over here, but we're going to see. But, you know, Meta, maybe it is going to ignite with a gap up out of this tight consolidation. So that's Meta. Microsoft, just, you know, same thing. It's consolidating over here. It's around the daily 21. It's right around its 518.29 breakout level right over there. All right, you know, it can go either way, but it's either going to start breaking underneath 21, which is at 515.95, or it's going to start taking out today's high at 527.59, and it's probably going to start heading towards 538.25, and then above there you have nothing till 555.45. That's Microsoft, but you know, it can go either way. Amazon, I'm just going to say this is the only one that I'm really saying looks a bit shaky over here, but you know, I'm just going to come over here. MAGS ETF right here, guys, weekly chart. This was your last big breakout. It was a strong move, just like we did last week. And then guess what? You pulled back to retest the breakout spot. You didn't quite get it, but you pulled almost back there the following week to then consolidate for a few weeks. And then finally, you had a ripper of a move. There's a chance we get this. So, you know, I'm serious, guys, on this dip. Like, don't expect you're going to see all the bears come back out. They were just wrong. Keep this in mind. They were just wrong. They are underwater. They were wrong. Okay, so you're going to see these people come out, and they're probably going to be wrong again, because I'm telling you ahead of time, these are the scenarios. Now, I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but I will do my best to maneuver around this market off of these scenarios we're talking about here, okay? If you want to come trade with me, that link is down below. I'm live every single day until 12 or 1, and you can come trade with me. That link is down below. But, you know, I really do my best to just maneuver around these markets here, and I'm telling you, like, based off of what I'm seeing ahead of time, you know, you pretty much know all the scenarios that can happen here. It's just your job to, you know, map them out ahead of time, and then you start seeing them trigger, and boom, oh, you know, this is happening. If we pull back, guys, it's going to be a break and retest off previous all-time highs here. It's very likely going to get bought. This is the MAGS ETF. This is all the MAG 7 stocks combined. I'm telling you, Apple looks like it's going to continue. Google is going to go up to all-time highs. Amazon probably also going to go up to all-time highs, but that's the only one looking a little iffy. Tesla just started moving. Meta is tight consolidation right now. It can just pop. In the video, we know wants to continue. You know, this is probably going to lead to continuation. I know VIX is looking like this, so maybe we do get a little VIX pop going on this week, but I do think it's something that'll be short-lived because of how everything is set up here. I just think that's the likely scenario, so that's what I'm going to be going off until proven otherwise, and that is that. Okay. All right, so those are the MAG 7 stocks, guys. I got a few trade ideas for you, some stocks to pay attention to. I do think this first one's going to be moving regardless of the market, guys, okay? By 822, 1,300 bucks. That is the target over here. If it happens, you heard it here first. Henry was pounding the table from this day right here because we started turning around. You don't believe me? Go on my Twitter. By the way, if you find value in these videos, you're going to find value in the Twitter. That link is also down below. You can go check that out. I would honestly just appreciate your support there, but I will be posting every day, and I do promise if you find value here, I promise you will find the value there as well. All right, but yeah, Netflix over here, guys. It's already came a long way here, but just realize this trade idea really just started. So I do think this is going to be taking place over the next 1 to 2 weeks, and 5 out of 6 most recent times has happened over the past year and a half. This condition we got going on, the first green bar off of the weekly 21 EMA, it has led to that at least 13% move within that 2-week period off of that low. Well, it's technically a 3-week period off of that low, but you know, after we print the bar, we have 2 weeks to make the move. Guess what? 5 out of 6 times happened that next week, which would be this week. Only 1 out of 6 times happened the second week. Okay, and even during then, was it here? No, it wasn't here. It wasn't there. It was right here. Okay, even during then, from the opening price that week, you had a 3.7, you got a 4% move up. You know, if we get a 4% move up from this opening price, guys, we're going to 1260 this week, and we're gonna freaking bank. Regardless, Netflix, put it on the radar. It started moving. Daily Cloud is about to get its cross there. But yeah, weekly chart just looks absolutely phenomenal over here, and I do think it's going to start making its way back up. And we see what's going on here on the 4-hour. Also doesn't look all that bad. Okay, that's Netflix. Next one, guys. Rocket Lab started turning around today. I know it looks a little crazy over here, but we are holding on to the 21 EMA, and I have to assume we are probably going to be holding and pushing. If we can break back above 47.72, then it is telling us that yes, that is exactly what it's doing. This is reversion to the mean. You got a bunch of compression going on, a bunch of consolidation. That leads to the expansion. That is what would come next. If we break above 47.72, that's your early warning sign that that's happening. Break above 50 bucks, 49.92, and then you know it is definitely happening. 53.44 should be the target, 55, and then 60 bucks. That's Rocket Lab. Oracle over here, guys, depending on what the market's going to be doing, Oracle is going to be getting a breakout above 260.87. The past, what is it, 5 times here? Let's just see. You know, we've been watching the stat for a little while here. We got to trade it over here. Didn't quite get it going over here yet, but I do think that is coming with what's going on. You see this higher high from over here. You see the lower high. This is compression. This is likely about to expand. But yeah, you got one 10-point move. You got two 10-point move. You got 3 10-point move. You have 4 10-point moves. So guys, that's 4 times now. You had 10 points. 1, and then you got 2, and then I don't think you went 10 on that. And then you got 3, and then you got 4, and guess what? You might break above 260.87. That triggers another one, and then maybe all of a sudden we get another 10-point move all in 1 to 2 sessions here, up to 270, and we could have a good time. So that's Oracle. We're going to be paying attention to. I'm not going to say like the weekly chart all that much with how it's looking here, but I do think the daily chart is probably about to do the same exact thing. I've seen it do a few other times now, and we traded. So I do think that, yeah, that's what we're watching. Okay, that's Oracle. APP, I'm just gonna let you guys know. Okay, we ran this bad boy back, and I officially got out today. But I'm just telling you guys, I think dips are going to continue getting bought over here. Dips are going to be buying opportunities if we see them. This is a top watch for myself personally, but I personally think there's no reason not to. We had September calls. How do you get 150, 200% on September calls all in one day? Re-enter on the pullback, and then boom, 2 sessions later, you're up 70, 80%. You should probably just walk away from that point right before CPI, okay? And that's what's going on here. If we do pull back off CPI, guys, this is definitely one to keep your eye on. We're watching 428.99, and I will be a buyer. But yeah, APP, guys, we called it before the move happened. I'm still calling it as the move is happening. And yeah, this next dip is a buying opportunity for that move to all-time highs. 487.99 is that next spot above 473.70 if CPI doesn't want to make the market crap to bed, and we want to continue. Okay, MU, this is definitely one to put on your radar over here. This is one that's probably gonna keep this gap open. If I had to guess, I think we're probably gonna put in some tight consolidation this week or just continue pushing. Regardless, we are anticipating this gets bought up. Once it does take out 129.85, it's on its way to 137.13. That is the next spot, and then you have 144.07, and then all-time highs of 157.54. I do think this thing is going up to all-time highs, and I think we probably just started one of these vertical moves here with last week's action. We did as we see, we gapped up 5% today, closed up 4%. But yeah, this is probably going to hold this gap. And if it does fill, it's a buying opportunity. This is set up to move. So that is MU. TSM over here, guys. I will keep pounding the table over here. I think this is going to break. I think it's going to break. It also reminds me of this chart right here. This thing keeps getting slapped down from right here. I think this was the 5th time. 1, 2, 3. You have 4 slap downs. Okay. Next time it tests 30.42, this thing's probably going to break out Galaxy. Okay. So I'm going to be paying attention. I got the alert there today, and that thing did end up sweeping that and falling off a cliff there. I'm definitely still keeping it on the radar, though. This thing looks like it wants to move. Okay. I know I'm not talking about this week candle. I'm talking about everything else that's going on here on that chart. Okay. But over here on TSM, guys, I do think, chips are going to be good. MU is looking good. NVIDIA is looking good. AVGO is also really not looking bad. It's looking exactly like NVIDIA here, just consolidating underneath these, these highs right here. I do think if, all of these other chip stocks are going to be, catching a bid here, I do think TSM is very likely going to break out above 248.28 and then run to around 260. We're thinking 255, 260, maybe even that same session. But yeah, it should happen pretty quick once it goes. This thing has been consolidating for about a month in this area, And I am personally looking for an equal move to that, because that's 20 freaking points. That means we're going 270. Okay. That's what we're looking for. But first, above 248.28, we have 255 and then 260. That's TSM. Walmart, guys. Wally. I don't know if this is going to be pulling all the back all that much with what's doing here on the 4 hour. Looks like it's consolidating before getting another leg up here. Above 105.30, guys. Sweet baby Jesus is in price discovery mode. Continue to expect dips to be bought over here. Probably not going to be getting anything more than 1 to 2 points pullbacks over here on Walmart for the time being. It can continue running to earnings above 105.30. We're talking 110. Pep. We're still just waiting for this break above 147.03, guys. But this is definitely one I'm watching over here because I really like how this weekly chart is set up over here. All right. It's getting ready for a big move. Just got the breakout last week. And really just have to break above this range high here at 147.03. And then we're very likely going straight to 150. And then next stop is 155. That's Pep. Hood, guys, it's pulling back. We know because of how last weekly candle printed. We know this dip is likely to be bought. Put it on the radar. You know, if it does have a gap up on CPI, you know, let's say to today's high, 117.47, around there, or, you know, 117, then it takes out 117.47. Guys, 120. That is the short-term target here. That's what we're looking for. 120, then 125. That is Hood. And Uber. All right, guys, Uber. I am thinking this thing is probably just going to stay consolidating here for the time being. If it does stay consolidating this week, look for it to be bought next week. But this is probably still going to be heading up towards the highs after this consolidation is done. And it's definitely trying to break out of that consolidation. Okay, you broke out of the parallel channel. You got a break and retest going on. If you push back up to 93.60, probably not going to fail. You're probably going to break that and head to 97.72 and then $100. That's Uber. HD. All right, HD. I'm keeping this on my radar over here. I really like how the weekly chart is setting up ahead of earnings. I don't want it to make a big move off of earnings, but it's okay. If that does make a decent move up off of earnings, I'm going to look for setups, bullish setups afterwards, because I do think this thing is going to be heading back up to highs. Look at how the monthly chart is set up with this giant cup and handle. There you go. Lemonade, guys. Big base, big break and retest off the said base, slash another big base. You got the inverse head and shoulders going on over here. Above 53.85, guys, it can push straight up to 58.83. That's where you broke down from over here. And yeah, definitely one I'm going to be keeping on my radar into next month. This thing, you could see most of these green, you know, big candlesticks like that, they have at least another candlestick after that. And yeah, you know, I'd say we have a similar setup to what we had over here, where this monthly candle is right up against that high. It's probably going to break it this month, but regardless, we're going to be paying attention to this one all throughout next month. I do think a larger move is coming next month than what we get this month. So put it on your radar, monthly time frame. Okay, have your expectations in line with what we just talked about. Okay, it's the monthly chart. It takes some time into September there, but yeah, you know, I do think this thing is probably going to continue here in the short term. We did get a nasty week candle last week. You know, normally you normally get some continuation follow these. So yeah, that's probably going to be the case. All right, guys, and with that being said, I hope everybody enjoyed today's video. I hope you had a lovely day. And yeah, I will catch you guys tomorrow. We'll see what happens with CPI. Good things. We will see. Either way, we are anticipating that dip gets bought if it gets presented. I don't know exactly how it's going to shape up, but I just thought I'd share it, you know, what we went over in today's video. Just because, yeah, we don't know what's going to happen with CPI. And if it's hot and we gap down, you know, I'm sure a bunch of fear is going to come right back very quick into this market, even though, again, bears had 3 failures last week and QQQ made a new all-time high today. Not on a closing basis, but on a wick basis. So, yeah, probably going to continue getting bought up. I think the most probable scenario tomorrow is to go up, but I will also point out IWM, you know, VIX, it started perking up into this event. IWM looks a bit heavy here. It could go either way. DIA looks a bit heavy. It could go either way. I'm seeing a lot of IWM puts come in. SPY puts have been coming in. We did have 6 mil coming into 829, 547 SPY calls today. So that was something that came in real early this morning. So, you know, I'm just going to say, like, I am definitely leaning towards the upside here. But I'm also a realist here. And yeah, CPI comes out tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Okay. All right. I'll catch you on the next one. please remember to leave a like. That's the only thing that helps me grow this channel, other than, you know, the content I consistently put out every day. Okay. So I appreciate you, and I ask for nothing other than that like button. I really hope you guys are making money in this market and crush it. Okay. I'll catch y'all over on the Twitter or in the next video. Peace.